Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Mind the Mental Monday. I hope everybody is safe, uh, hopefully indoors somewhere if you're on the East Coast or even in the deep South. Everybody, a lot of us got socked with either freezing rain or sleet or snow or both. So where I am, we got hit with both. We got hit with maybe about a foot of snow, and some ice on top of that. I know my husband has an aching back from shoveling, trying to, get us dug out, even though we're not going anywhere. And so, because it's still freezing temperatures. But I hope that everybody is taking all the safety precautions for shoveling. A lot of heart attacks happen around uh, people shoveling and either doing it incorrectly or not really taking the cues that their body is giving them to stop. Important to stay hydrated and take breaks, with this when you have a lot of snow. So I hope that you all are all safe and sound. I hope you're someplace warm. And yeah, I hope you have everything that you need. I think we'll be in for another day or so, but I'm grateful, to have the things that I need. And, I'm grateful for, um, people who have been checking on us and, we've been checking on people, check on your people, especially those that are living alone, and especially the elderly. Just kind of keep a check on your loved ones. Um, all right. So a couple of weeks ago, I started a new series on life seasons, and I talked about this was 2 weeks ago. I talked about the different seasons of life that we might go through, and I kind of gave an overview of what those different seasons are and asked some questions of you and put a blog on my blog post for you to go to. And, if you're wanting to do the work, there's something that you can start with. So, and then last week was the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial Day, and we talked about, the mental health of those who fought in the struggle back during the civil rights movement during Dr. King's time, and even, his mental health and the impact that fighting these civil battles can have on one's mental health, and just also bringing into focus what is in focus for us in the United States, the fact that we are sort of back in another sort of civil rights era, and the horror, the atrocities that are taking place by our own government against U.S. citizens, which is not new. I mean, this has been going on since the inception of this country. So it's not new. It may feel new to newer generations who didn't grow up. I'm sort of Gen X, just passed just out of the civil rights movement. So while I didn't grow up in an era where, there was forced or legalized segregation, there were still all kinds of messages of that would try to make somebody like me feel inferior. I'm grateful to have had parents who would not allow that, and who would allow me to understand that there's nobody superior to me except God, who is my creator. So, and as long as you know that you know that you are fearfully and wonderfully made in God's image, the image of your creator, that there is absolutely nobody out here who is superior to you. And therefore, because of that, you can stand firm and you can stand up to help our brothers and sisters who are going through such a tragic time. So I really hope that all of you prayer warriors out there, it is wartime, and the weapons of our warfare are not carnal. It's not the guns that's going to help us, but the weapons of our warfare are mighty in God for the pulling down of strongholds, and that has been true since the beginning. And so, while we might protest or call our senators and do the things that we can do to help our fellow brothers and sisters, we need the prayer warriors because this battle that's being fought is both spiritual and physical. We need the spiritual warriors to be praying, and to, I mean, to really, really, really tarry in prayer. So, I hope that the prayer warriors are warring in the spirit as we're called to do. So tonight, I would like to pick up from where I left off 2 weeks ago in talking about life seasons. And just to kind of give a little bit of a recap on what I talked about back then, I talked about five seasons of life. I talked about the preparation or planting season. I talked about the growth or stretching season. I talked about the fruitful season or the harvest. I talked about the pruning season, the cutting away, the letting go, and I talked about the rest season. So if you want to hear, I went really in sort of more in depth with those 2 weeks ago. So go back and look at that. Look at, if you didn't see it, go and look at it from 2 weeks ago. But tonight I want to talk about discovering your purpose in the season that you are in. I think there's a tendency sometimes for us to not realize that there are different seasons for us in life. And as I've mentioned before, sometimes we think that our creator just put like one purpose in us, and that purpose is supposed to be what our purpose for the rest of our lives. But I believe that God gives us different purpose as we evolve throughout the years of growth. Because, while we have a God who does not change, who is consistent, who is faithful, he understands that creation was created to change and to grow and to evolve. Um, that is a part of what we were created to do. And so, in order to do that, we have to understand that while our purpose might be one thing in one season of life, in another season of life, our purpose might change. The important thing to understand is that when seasons do change, and when maybe your focus changes, or when you feel like you're being led in a different direction, or it might not even necessarily be a different direction, but it could just be a different focus that causes you, to get excited and feels like, yes, this is where I'm supposed to be. I'm supposed to be right here. It doesn't even matter like if things don't seem to be, going at the level that you want it right now, but at the same time, you still have that excitement and you still show up for whatever it is, and you don't show up because you've got a million followers, or you don't show up because of what you think you're going to get from people, but you show up because it is in you. It's like almost like it's just a part of your DNA, and you just get excited about it when you're doing it. That's kind of how I feel about doing Mind the Mental Mondays. Like I get an excitement. Even those times where where I do Mind the Mental Monday and I'm tired, and I think sometimes you could tell because my my body language might shift a little bit. I might not be as upbeat as I am, or I like to think that I am most of the time. There are times where I'm a little more maybe somber, and that's usually because I'm tired. And but it even when I'm tired, it's like I get excited because it's like I want to do it, and I feel like um yeah, I just it's just where God has me right now, and it's something that benefits me just to be able to talk about some of these topics and some of these things that I think about, and to be able to share it with others who may maybe thinking along the same lines, or who may need help in certain areas. If it's something that can benefit somebody, I'm really excited to do it. And so in talking about discovering what your purpose is in your current season, understand again that seasons change. And even though we might be used to weather seasonal changes, when seasonal changes happen in our lives, it's a completely different thing, because um it's not necessarily something that we're used to. Sometimes we might feel a sense of passion or urgency to go towards something that feels really foreign to us, where we aren't comfortable. It goes against, it takes us out of our comfort zone. As we talked about last week, that stretching season, it stretches you to do something new. And I encouraged everyone last week, to allow yourself to be stretched, like be comfortable in the stretch. As uncomfortable as it might be comfortable being uncomfortable, because when you allow yourself to stretch, then you open yourself up to being able to do more than you could possibly even imagine having the ability to do. So I still want to encourage you to stretch and understand that purpose is not always your final destination. It is not always your forever assignment. Assignments come and assignments go. When you're in school, your teacher will give you a list of assignments that's due at a particular time. And when you're done with those assignments are done. And then you're on to a new assignment, right? So it's the same thing in your seasons of life, and in your when you're looking to assess your purpose um, in the part of life that you're in right now. Understand that again, that can change. So here are some questions. We're going to kind of go through some questions that you can ask yourself. And again, um, I will have a blog, my blog post that will have these questions that you can go to it on my website, www.benitaweathers.com, and sign up for the blog. Uh, you won't be inundated with emails, I promise you. Um, so here's the first question to ask yourself. What is this season trying to teach me? So in the season that you're in now, yeah, I think, one thing that might happen sometimes when we're in a new season is that we have a hard time sort of defining it. I remember many years ago now. I was in a season of life, and in that season, I just, I just wasn't, it was something just wasn't right. It's like, and I couldn't define it though. Like, I just couldn't define what was happening in that season of my life. And then I heard a song um, by one of my favorite artists, and in it, it says, "I can tell you're feeling uninspired." And it was like, that's it, uninspired, right? It was such a small word, but at the same time, it like, it helped me to define where I was in that particular season, just uninspired, just feeling blah, and not understanding what was going on. And so once I was able to define for myself where I was uninspired, it wasn't like that, just took me out of feeling uninspired, but it helped me to define it so that I could then ask myself the question, well, if I am uninspired, then what is it that will inspire me? And just kind of begin to go on sort of a self journey of that, of where is my inspiration coming from, and what is it, and what is it leading me to, and what is it leading me to do? And so I think defining your season is important, like getting to know where you are right now and being able to say it. And then, once you are able to define it for yourself, okay, what is this season trying to teach me? So, in the season of being uninspired, the season was trying to teach me that there was more to life for me to seek out, that there was more that I was going to be called to do beyond what I had already been doing. And so what it taught me was that I had to be patient in waiting for the inspiration to come, and that during that process I had to be still. And I don't like being still, really. I don't. I like it's in my DNA. I mean, my dad's side of the family, man, it's like we be on the move, and it's like my grandmother used to say, one of these days I'm gonna have to lay down forever. So while I'm, and she was like in her 80s when she said this, and she was like, and so while I can still move, I'm gonna keep on moving, and that's kind of what I grew up with. Like, let's go, keep on moving, we got to keep going. Um, and and so, but I had to be still sometimes, and really seek God for direction. Because I believe that in that time I was also sort of spiritually stale. I had sort of gotten out of a rhythm that I had gotten in with being prayerful every day, and with, being, just really making sure I was in prayer and studying my word every day. Like I had kind of gotten away from that. And I believe that it was a time, I think I was in seminary at the time, which, you know, if I'm in seminary, I probably shouldn't be getting spiritually dull, but I kind of was at a certain point because it was school. And so I really had to just take some time out to just kind of, okay, be still and really get to know me, and get to know, get my prayer and meditation, kind of get that back going, and become more spiritually equipped to see where God was leading me. Um, so, that was what the season was trying to teach me, was that you're going to have seasons of drought, and but those seasons of drought aren't going to last always. Um, there will be new seasons of flourishing that will come. The next question is, what is this season trying to develop in me? So if I were again to use my that season, as an example, it was trying to develop in me patience. It was trying to develop in me that even though I didn't feel inspired, or wasn't feeling like necessarily all that like excited about something that I was working towards or was going to happen, that it was trying to develop patience in me, trying to develop it was trying to season me. It was trying to slow cook me as opposed to microwave me. Um, and so, I realized that it was developing confidence. It was developing my learning. Like I was in school, so I was learning new material, and it was teaching me to become confident in being a biblical scholar. It was teaching me about my resolve, and it also taught me that there were things that I was being that and taught in seminary that was different from what I learned. And it taught me that yes, as so many people said, you have to chew the meat and spit out the bones. It helped me to learn the parts that I should take in and savor that would nourish me and help me to grow and develop in the way that I should. But it also taught me the bones that I need to spit out and not allow in in my psyche, right? And in me. So again, what is the season trying to teach you? What is the season trying to develop in you? The next question is, what is this season asking me to release? And that is a good one, and it's a hard one sometimes. Whenever we talk about releasing something, it can be, I'm not gonna say it's always, but it can be really difficult depending on what it is that you need to release, because some of those things that we need to release are things that are kind of like appendages on us. Like they're things that we have held on to for years. It could be an attitude that you've developed. It could be thoughts, negative thoughts about yourself that you've developed. It could be hanging on to people who, as painful as it might feel, you come to realize that they don't mean you any good, but they've been with you so long that you feel like letting them go is going to crush you or crumble you somehow. But again, that goes back to that purging season. Like when you're ever you're growing anything, whether it's vegetation or whether it's flowers, whatever the case might be, there comes a point in time where you have to sort of cut back something, even your hair. There comes a point in time where if you're allowing your hair to grow out, you gotta clip those ends, right? At least once a month or once every 6 weeks or something like that. You got to clip the ends, in order to keep your hair healthy and to allow it to continue to grow if that's what you are looking for. The growth is what you're looking for. So so as you're growing in who you are, as you're growing in who you are becoming, sometimes you got to cut some stuff. And cutting hurts in the short run. But in the long run, cutting can help you to grow beyond what you ever thought you'd be able to do. So, what is the season asking you to release? Is it asking you to release thoughts about yourself? Is it asking you to release what you've always done because you've always done it? We get into these habits as humans. What that that's not how we used to do it, right? And it's like, well, if you're hopefully not. Hopefully, if you're growing, you're not doing stuff the way you used to do it. Because if you're still doing stuff the way you used to do it, then you're not growing, right? You're not evolving. You're allowing yourself to stay stagnant. And ultimately, what you want to do is grow and blossom more, and sometimes it's hard to change those things that we've been doing forever. Because why? Again, what I say every week, almost every week, about our brains liking stuff to be easy and simple. So once it kind of gets in that pattern, it likes to keep the same pattern. It just does. But sometimes we need to release those patterns and develop new ones. And as hard as it might be, it is something that we have to be intentional to do if we really want to grow and if we really want to blossom and if we really want to be able to become who God has intended for us to be. And if we want whatever we become to be able to benefit others as well as ourselves. So, what is the season asking you to release? Here is another good question. What is this season preparing me to carry? In order to be able to carry anything, you have to have the muscle strength to do it. In order to be able to, so this is my eyeglass case. Now, this is only, probably less than an ounce, or I'm not good at measurements. I should be. I have a degree in biology, but I'm not good. We're just gauging weight. But I'm thinking that this is probably, maybe an ounce, right? If that. It's very light, very light. I don't need very much muscle to carry this. But if I had, if my becoming required me to carry like a cinder block, I can't just jump up and carry a cinder block. Like I've got to put in the work. I've got to do the exercise. I got to get my son to be my personal trainer to get that muscle mass that I need to get the strength to be able to lift something heavy. So is your what is the season preparing you to carry? Because if the season is preparing you to carry a heavy load, then it's going to give you a workout. And a lot of times we don't like the workout, right? We like the results of the workout. Like we know, we have this vision of what we might want the workout to do, what we might want to look like after we finish, doing the workouts. But doing the actual workout is not what we want to do. We like to be able to just, snap our fingers and get to, the size, the shape, the muscle, whatever you're trying to do, right? We like to just be able to jump there, snap our fingers, and it's like, oh, there we go. But it doesn't work that way. You actually have to kind of put in the effort to do it, to gain that strength, And so, if life is preparing us to carry something heavy, we're going to have to, it's going to also give us the workout. And sometimes the workout that we get done feel good in the moment while you're doing it. But when you get through it, have you ever done a workout and while you're in it, it's like, oh my goodness, oh, you just, but if you keep going, if you keep pressing and you get to the end of that workout, it's like you feel good, right? Because you did it. You persevered. You hung in there. You stuck it out and you did what was hurting you, what you was just like, oh Lord, I don't know if I'm gonna get through this. When you actually make it, it gives you those endorphins just go off. You feel good about yourself because you challenged yourself. You stretched yourself to do this workout and to get through it. So, while it might not feel the greatest, while it might not feel good in the moment, when you get through it, and then when you get through several of them down the road somewhere and your body feels better and you start to have more energy and your body starts to get more tone or getting in a different shape than maybe you than you currently are. when it starts to really, when you can start to see the benefits of what you've been doing, then it's like, oh, I did it. I did it. And you feel good about yourself. Now, but it takes kind of repeating and doing the same thing multiple times. It's not something that's going to be an easy, quick fix, and you're not going to get there. You might not even get there on a tank of gas. You might have to fill up a few times along the way, depending on the length of the journey. But as long as you have a place to fill up, and as long as you keep going, you will reach your destination eventually. And that should make you feel good. Who is this season positioning me to serve? The point of our purpose, whatever that is, ultimately is to not only help ourselves, but it is also to help others, right? Because like, what's the point in you getting somewhere, and you not taking the time, and somebody has helped you along the way, but then you don't want to take the time to help somebody else and bring them along. That's not cool, right? Um, so who is the season positioning you to serve? Who is your tribe? Who are those people that are gonna benefit from whatever it is from the fruit that you are producing? Who are those that are going to benefit from it? And when you sort of start to come into the realization of those that you're going to benefit, you'll understand, you might get a better understanding of some of the things that you've had to go through to to get to a place where you are capable to serve those people. Because sometimes to serve groups of peoples or certain people, you have to have gone through some kind of journey yourself, and sort of be able to share with others and help them through it. All right, so those are questions as you are sort of determining what is my purpose right now in this season. What is the season trying to teach you? What is the season trying to develop in you? What is the season asking you to release? What is the season preparing you to carry? Who is the season positioning you to serve? And then the first thing is define, like, what is the season? Define it. Define the season that you're in. And then go through that other list of questions. For some of us, we are tempted to fight the season. Like, it's winter, we got a lot of snow out here. I just want to jump to spring. Like, really and truthfully, like, if I could just jump to spring tomorrow, that's exactly what I would do. But we can't skip it. The snow got to get shoveled up. It's eventually gonna melt. I mean, this is one of those snowstorms that we might be into March, and we might still, in little places, see patches of snow that hasn't melted yet. I've seen that in my lifetime. Like in March, it's like there's still snow, right? And so there's the we want to just kind of skip certain seasons. Many of women in my age group, man, if we could skip menopause, what? We would just skip it. Just skip it all together. There's lots of seasons. There are lots of seasons in our lives that we would like to just skip, but there's a reason that we're planted in that season at that time. And like it or not, we have to endure the season in order to get to the fruit. That's just the bottom line of it, right? So, you sometimes there are a couple things that can happen. Sometimes we're trying to live in a season that we're not prepared for, right? So again, we want the microwave. We want to just jump to whatever we saw somebody on Instagram. It's like, oh, they got 1 million followers and they're doing this. I'm gonna jump and try to do what they're doing. When that's not what you're called to do. That's not what you're, that's it's not for you. So yeah, don't bloom where you are planted. I don't know who originated that quote, um, but it is a popular one, right? Bloom where you are planted. Don't try to uproot yourself and plant yourself somewhere else. Don't try to uproot yourself because even in the plant world, there are different plants that thrive in different climates. There are those like, pine trees. They thrive in the winter. Not all trees and plants thrive in the winter. There are palm trees. They thrive in tropical areas. Palm trees don't really survive winter climates, right? So you have to know what kind of tree you are, and you have to be okay with where you're planted, because if you try to uproot yourself and plant yourself somewhere else that is not where you were supposed to be planted, then you will just wilt. So if you're a pine tree and you trying to plant yourself in Florida, you're not going to survive, right? So um and then there are times where we want to skip steps. We want to, like, we want to harvest, we want to bear fruit at a time that we're supposed to be planting. We have to understand what season we're in. Are you in a season of planting? Because you can't plant when you first plant something, it's not going to sprout, it's not going to produce fruit right away. Are you in a season of waiting, stretching? Are you in a season of harvest? Okay, great. You're there. But don't try to put yourself in a season that you're not ready for yet. You have to prepare. Planting is the beginning stage, planting the seed. But you got to do all kinds of things before that seed starts to sprout anything. It's got to be watered. It's got to be nourished. It's got to get some sunlight. I mean, it's got a whole process that it has to go through before it can get to the stage, or to the season of producing fruit. So you can't harvest in a planting season. You can't rest in a season of warfare like we're in right now. Like, we've got to be on that, we got we got to be being prayerful. You can't hold on in a pruning season. When it's time to let stuff go, you got to let it go. Because when you hold on to stuff, you can't really grow. It's like the bag lady that Erica Badu sings about. You gonna hurt your back carrying all them bags like that. Like, you can't just keep bringing more and more bags and think that you're going to gain any kind of momentum in your forward movement. It's going to slow you up, slow you down. So we have to, sometimes we want to resist the season that we're in because we just don't like it. Like the season of being uninspired. I did not like that season because I just felt ill. Like, I just felt blah, for a long time. But it was preparing me for some things that I was going to do. It was in that season, I didn't know that I was going to become an author. I didn't know I was going to write my first book, let alone the second book. Something else that happened during that season was that I got a word that I didn't even know. Like, I was in seminary. I was planning to write this book. my book, The Scream Within, but I hadn't talked about it. I had not told anybody. I hadn't told a soul about the book that I was even thinking about it, about writing it. And one day in my one of my seminary classes, our instructor at the beginning of class, he always did an exercise where um, he would choose either one student or like a group of students would lead the devotions for the beginning to start the class that day. Well, this particular day, one of my classmates, she just, what the Lord led her to do was to literally go around and do individual prayers with every single person in the class. And when she got to me, she prayed, she was holding my hands, and I will never forget this. She said, "Write the book, Benita, write the book. The Spirit is saying, write the book, write the." And when I tell you the tears that were falling because I had not discussed that with anybody. Nobody knew I was thinking about writing it except God. So it was one of those moments where it was just like I knew God was preparing me in that season because it was I was in that uninspired season, and it was like the spirit itself was inspiring me in that moment that I am calling you to write that book and you're going to write it, right? I didn't write it right away, but it sparked something in me to at least take the next kind of steps to thinking about it, right? So, at the time I didn't like that season, but I had to go through it. I had to go through it to get to the other side of it to do the thing that I was called to do in that in the follow-up in the next season, right? So, sometimes we're not going to like the season that we're in. We don't always like the season that we're in right now, but there is a reason for the season, right? And so, and I know yes, Jesus is the reason for the season that we celebrate when we celebrate Christmas. Um, but he's also the reason for all of our seasons. When we're obedient to do what we're called to do in the season that we're called to do it, um, God will get the glory. And we will also learn something about ourselves. So where are you right now? What season are you in? Are you in a season, and in that season, what are you learning about yourself? Um, where do you think you're going? What are you becoming? What is the fruit that is being grown and nourished that will blossom? I want to encourage you to let your fruit blossom, to go through whatever it is you need to go through to get to your fruit. Do not abandon your fruit. Don't pick your fruit early, and don't let it get rotten either, right? Know the season that you're in. Bloom where you are planted right now. Um, but you're going to have to go through the process for that blooming to happen. Roots have to grow deep in order for you to grow up. So, um, I hope that you are handling your life season, in the way that will produce maximum fruit for you, whatever that looks like. And if you are, wanting some one-on-one time to think through that process, I am a life coach. And so I invite you to a free 30-minute consultation if you're interested. Um, Go on my website, benitaweathers.com, and sign up there. And I'll be more than happy to speak with you more, and provide more and more information that can be helpful as you are developing your roots, as you are growing and being nourished and stretched, and as you come into your harvest, being comfortable with the harvest that you come into. All right, so God bless everybody. I hope you will continue to be safe. Don't try to run out here too soon now. Be safe, be careful. And Lord willing, and the creek don't rise. Maybe I should say, Lord willing, and the creek don't freeze. I will see you. I will see you next week, next Monday, 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Mind the Mental Monday. Good night, everybody.